afternoon, folks. You are listening to Heavy Hands Podcast, Jawbroke, episode Trace. It is Tuesday, January 26th at approximately 3:55 p.m. in the afternoon. It is a shitty day here in the Kansas City Metro. I am one half physically, but 1/10 mentally of the hosting duo of the Heavy Hands Podcast. Directly to my left, he is the honesty to my modesty, the A-side to my B-side, the Mayweather to my Pac-Man. Fully recovered from the novel coronavirus 19, live in studio. It's him, the man, the myth, the legend, Hunter, the Shark, Vaughn.
What's up, guys?
Dude, I'm fired up that you're back.
Yeah, it's good to be back, man. Sitting in quarantine, horrible. I'm always on the go to work, go to the gym, whatever. I'm always doing something, and I'm like never home except for like probably 8:30 until the sun comes up, and that's like sleep time, or I don't really sleep, but like watching movies and relaxing. So I did, sitting at home for like that period of time, just watching TV, playing video games. It was nice to relax, but I was starting to go crazy. It sucked. And not to mention, like, the first 5 days, I was just in horrible pain. I felt like I had the flu. It was like body aches, headache, fever. That was really it for me. I didn't lose my sense of smell or taste at all. And I know that's a pretty common symptom that a lot of people are having, but I honestly just thought that it really just felt like I had the flu, but even like it was like worse than the normal flu. Really, it felt pretty bad. I don't know. So yeah, I've had COVID now, and I guess I can't get it for like 3 months now at least. But
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows how long it is before you can get it? So I talked about it on the Nitro show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious. So what happened when you left my house that day? Everyone knows we both got quarantined. You had what symptoms when you left?
My body had started hurting. I mentioned it to you before the show, remember? And
Yeah, you
like
thought you pulled your back out, right?
Yeah, and like my back was on fire. My legs, like the back of my legs were hurting, and it could have just been from like overexertion from the gym, both gyms, like lifting weights and MMA. But then that night, I started getting fever. I think I didn't actually take my temperature till the next day, but I think I started to get my fever, and my body aches. It moved on from just my back and legs to like my whole body was on fire. And I went to sleep and slept like all night, which is just something that, for those of you that don't know, it's something I don't really do. I have trouble sleeping, so it was weird for me to go to sleep. And the next day, I don't really like to call in, like, ever. It's something I always try to avoid with work. I just like to show up and do my job and go home. But I went to work, and as soon as I got there, every day we have a questionnaire that asks, like, symptoms, and I was like, fuck, maybe I should just tough it out and work today, because I need the money, got to pay rent, and I have a little girl to pay, buy food for, so, but I couldn't do it. I work around a lot of elderly people, and so I didn't want to risk it, because, one of them gets it and they die, and then I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm the biggest piece of shit ever. So I filled out my questionnaire honestly, and they were like, hey, you're off work for 2 weeks. And I was like, fuck, there goes my rent. So now I'm behind on rent and shit. But
So they weren't able to do anything to compensate you?
no, man, I had to fill out unemployment, which I probably still won't get for like another 3 weeks, and it'll be like 180.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's if they even approve it. Oh, there's like the $300 bonus for it for COVID, but I mean, it's like too late now, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm already behind on rent. I don't need it in 6 weeks. I need it now. But luckily, everybody's like giving me their shifts and stuff, and I'm picking up and I'm making good money. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's the shittiest thing about COVID, being like a young, healthy adult. Because I wasn't worried about dying. It just felt like I was sick. And had it not been like a super dangerous thing to people who are high risk for fatalities, I guess, I would have just toughed it out and worked. But yeah, just the rent is the biggest thing that sucks.
So let's backtrack a little bit on the illness. You went to your doctor and then you found out you're positive. Was your doctor in contact with you at all, saying, "Hey, this is what you need to watch out for. This is what I want you to do"?
I went to a drive-through COVID test.
You didn't go to the VA to get any. No.
I just made an appointment because I was so sick. Like, I didn't even care about the test. I was already off for 2 weeks, so like it didn't matter. I had to quarantine anyways. But I was forced. Abby wanted me to take the test, so she got me out of bed. We made an appointment with this place over in Lee Summit, GS Labs, I believe it's called, and they do you can set your appointment, and the appointments they take are like within like 3-minute increments, I believe. So you just pull up, they shove the thing in your nose, and then you get your results in about an hour. I think it was like an hour and 3 minutes exactly. So. Yeah, and then it just said my white blood cell thing was negative, and then I tested positive, and so the white blood cell test was to make sure that I can get corona. It means I haven't had it before, and then the separate test. Let me backtrack. The white blood cell test, they prick your finger. Like, if you have diabetes, it's just a little poke, and they take your blood.
Yeah, for the antibodies.
Yeah. And so I had that came back negative, which means I hadn't produced the antibodies yet. So that means that I had not had COVID in the past, or in the past 3 months is what it does.
Which indicated for them to go ahead and actually do a test.
Well, they did it both at the same time because it's literally a 3-minute thing. You pull up, and you don't even have to do the antibody test, but you can if you want. And so I did. And it costed me $5. That's literally all it costs to get the test.
Damn.
And yeah,
because you're VA or just that's
no,
what it
just
cost?
in general. Like I don't really understand it. They took my insurance and everything, but I still had to pay $5 like up front, and that was all I had to pay. So I wonder if you don't have insurance, if it's still $5 or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
well, at least that's nice to know. I mean, I didn't know the tests were that readily available. I figured you went to the VA.
GS Labs, people, you can get your COVID test, and I made the appointment within 30 minutes, went up there, got it done, and I was in and out.
Shout out GS Labs, baby.
Sir.
Well, I'm glad you're healthy. I'm glad you're back to my basement casting couch.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot of MMA to get to today. We'll recap UFC 257. We have some fight announcements, some big ones, some ones that came today or yesterday. I thought on this show we'd just talk about them. Maybe address a little bit of excitement, but obviously we'll have to record more episodes to go over those. These fights that we're going to announce today, if you haven't already seen them, are huge, or at least interesting. Some of them are stupid. Primarily UFC 257 recap, and then we got some fan questions today.
Yep.
But before... the Chiefs, baby.
Yes, sir. AFC
Where'd you watch
champs.
the game at?
Jay's house. Jason Lyons, everybody. Shout out Jay. His parents, we go over there all the time. Jay's parents are the GOATs. They always have my family over, and they always make us food, and it's always a good place to go.
What was on that smorgasbord? Because that's what the people want to hear. What were you snacking on for that game?
I believe they made steak, mashed potatoes, asparagus, and I also brought a pizza, pepperoni, or 3-meat pizza, actually.
Holy shit, an 11-course meal.
Yeah, and they're always, every time we go over there, there's always a veggie tray because Jay's the healthiest man alive. So
and nobody but Jay touched that.
Yeah, no, it's actually super heat. Jay's mom makes this like dip. It's like ranch and some other stuff. But it's so fire. Like even if you don't like vegetables, the dip is fire. So it's worth eating the vegetables. But
fuck yes.
And then they're always stocked on like soda or whatever, alcohol, whatever you want. So it's the coolest place to go. And even if we're not watching the game, like we always go over there to play not video games, play board games. Like they have like a whole closet just stacked with board games. So it's the funnest place on earth, honestly.
Were you nervous during the game at all?
No, not after I watched us go down to 20-0 or whatever the fuck it was last year against the Texans.
Yeah,
I wasn't even nervous that when that happened last year. I was like, as long as we have a Mahomes, dude, I'm like, there's no way we're fucking losing ever. And then when we do lose, I'm like, okay, we're still gonna win. Like, whatever.
Isn't it so weird how you're like when I saw the Texans game last year, I wasn't even nervous, and other people are like, oh, we're fucking done. And it almost is a little bit, I feel guilty because we're just so fucking good that you don't even have to be nervous. We murdered that whole game. It was not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
No. Meckel, the only reason they even scored that touchdown is because Meckel muffed the punt, and that's his second game in a row muffing a punt. So, he needs to get it together. He's a good player. I'm sure he will.
Did you see Mahomes hype him up on the sideline?
Yeah, so Mahomes, for those of you who didn't see it, after McColl dropped the punt for the touchdown, they picked it up and scooped and scored. Mahomes went over to him on the bench because McColl was like slamming his helmet, put the coat over his head, pouting, and Mahomes went over there and was like, "Hey, just be you, man. Fucking, get your head in the game. Be you." Yes. And then he fucking scored a touchdown.
Tyrann Mathieu was for sure high as fuck because the defense was dialed up, dude. Yep. Dialed up. Our defense looked great. Yep,
that's my boy. I love Honey Badger. He's the GOAT, man. I fucking phenomenal addition to the team. I love him.
Who'd you want to win the NFC game?
I wanted the Packers to win.
Really?
I fucking hate Tom Brady.
I need him to hand the torch over. I need him to hand the torch over.
It makes sense because there's no way they're going to beat us. We're the fucking God Squad,
Right.
Fuck everybody else. But and it's not that I hate Tom Brady, dude. 10 Super Bowls, obviously you're the second best quarterback of all time. Second only to Patrick Mahomes. But, it's not that I hate him. I hate him because of his fans. And I get it because now we have Patrick Mahomes, and there's guys like me who obviously say Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback to ever live. Actually, I always say that he's the greatest NFL player that's ever played. So I get it now because of people like me that are in a parallel universe for Brady. I can't stand him though. I can't. It's just because of his fans.
So good. His cadence is so fun to watch.
Oh man, he really is so good.
God, he's the best.
Second best.
Speaking of shitty fans, holy shit, Mahomes! If you ever see this, which I know you won't, please forgive me. But you have got to get your girlfriend Brittany Lynn and your goddamn brother Jackson Mahomes under control with the Instagram post. You have to get them under control. Please tell me you saw this.
No, what are you talking about?
Dude, this is the most absurd, unprofessional shit I have ever watched in my life. It is them screaming, and she's not drinking because she's pregnant. Yeah. So she's just that obnoxious. I'm not going to go too far into it before we get. Well, we're going to get roasted for this anyway, but my God, they got to get the fuck off Instagram.
Oh, dude, her Twitter is pretty viral too. Like, I know she's always like posting some outlandish shit.
Just be humble. Yeah. You don't get to talk shit when you're the girlfriend of the best quarterback of all time. Yeah. If he wants to talk shit, if he wants to display a persona, that's up to him. But you don't get to talk shit as the girlfriend.
And especially, he's not even like a showboater. Like, he flexes whenever he scores a touchdown and gets hype. But like, he's not even after the games or whatever, he's like, yeah, it's a good matchup. He's whatever, good game. Hats off to them, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't talk shit.
Have you seen Homefront?
Yeah.
Okay. You know how that fucking meth chick in the beginning eggs her boyfriend on to fight Jason Statham?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is Brittany. Those girls are bad for fucking business.
Yeah.
Brittany, the way she's displaying herself on Instagram looks like the type of girl that eggs her boyfriend on to fight somebody.
Yeah.
That's the type of vibe I get. Fuck that. That's hilarious. You've seen Homefront.
I've seen everything. You already know that.
Correct.
I completely agree.
Shout out 13.
Hey. I see that from her. And as cringe, she's very cringe. But it is what it is because that boy has been winning since high school with her by his side. So, I can't hate whatever in his life has been going right this whole time needs to continue for the next 10, 15 years that we have him. And then till his son that he's going to have eventually takes over the team. And then his girlfriends, whatever goes on in whatever goes on in his life, I need it to keep going because we're going to keep running it back every year for the next 10 years.
98.3% of my hatred for this situation is completely jealousy. So let me just get that out. It's all on me.
Yeah.
Speaking of annoying fucking fan bases and Tom Brady, I got to stop doing this to myself, man. UFC 257, Conor McGregor gets knocked out round 2 at 2 minutes and 32 seconds. I've got to stop doing this to myself. I have to. I get so involved in these fighters, so involved that it breaks my heart. I know a lot of people were sad when they saw him on the ground. They were sad for multiple reasons. His kids were cage side. His girlfriend is pregnant. She might be his fiance or
Wife.
wife now. People were sad for a lot of reasons. Just the image of him looking up, borderline unconscious, was very sad, but I just have to stop doing this to myself. I've done this to myself with a couple other fighters. Excuse me, Lando Venata. This guy has insane performances, and then he goes out there and he gets like 3 draws, Lando Venata does, and it just breaks my heart. I get so involved in these fighters, and part of it is just the fan in me. I just get too involved, and I was so depressed and heartbroken after this loss. And it's not that Conor McGregor deserved to win. I want to say that straight up. He did not deserve to win.
No, he didn't. Dustin did, for sure.
And I picked Conor as a fanboy, and it's not that I still don't think he could get it done 5, 6, 7 out of 10 times or 9 out of 10 times. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it broke my fucking heart. I was so sad. The drive home from watching it with my friends, I was so sad. And I have to stop doing this to myself. I need to watch MMA more as an appreciation rather than a fan, because it's such a beautiful sport. And this has happened to me numerous times, and it happened to me after the first Nate Diaz loss. It even happened to me on the Mayweather loss, which no one thought he was going to win. Even if you were a diehard McGregor fan, you knew he wasn't winning the Mayweather fight.
Oh, yeah.
But this happens to me every time. Seriously, clinical depression for 48 hours. So what were your initial thoughts on the fight? And then I'll throw you a couple side questions that maybe you might not have expected.
Okay. So going into the fight, the first fight. Let's talk about the first fight. We've already talked about this. I hated Poirier in the first fight. Loved McGregor. I was a huge fanboy of McGregor early on. But not a lot of people watch the UFC as much as you or I. Definitely not as much as you. But so early on, I hated Poirier. Over the last 10 fights that he's built up in the last 6 years, coming to this fight, I've grown to love him. He's a warrior, all heart. McGregor, still a huge fan, love him. The fight's coming. I'm like days out thinking, nah, I'm not going to cheer for McGregor or Poirier. I'm going to cheer for a good fight. That's what I want to see, is a badass fucking fight. And that's what we got, honestly. 1 round McGregor, then Poirier with the TKO in the second round. Wow. But anyways, the day of the fight, I realized I really subconsciously wanted McGregor to win. Probably just because I'm a bigger fan of him. Fight comes, great first round. I was super impressed. I thought Dustin was going to get stopped in the second round, honestly, because McGregor was landing heavy shots, heavy blows, but those leg kicks were snapping from Poirier, man. Second round, Poirier is coming on. And I knew he would in the second round, because after that first round, he was like, okay, I'm out of this first round. I'm not going to get knocked out. I've taken everything he has already. He's only going to get more tired as the fight goes on. He's not going to hit any harder. So I knew he was going to come on a little bit in that second round, and then, boom, TKO. And I was instantly happy. Sad for McGregor, because I love McGregor. And I thought it would hurt the sport with McGregor losing there. I don't think it does now. Because it was a beautiful performance from Poirier. And like we said, he deserves that win. So I was happy, and I was very impressed with him. To TKO McGregor, who's never been TKO'd, knocked out, TKO'd, whatever. He's been subbed, twice, and then lost 2 decisions, I think.
Yeah, well, one of his Cage Warriors losses, I know, was a submission as well. They both might have been. I think actually his only 4 losses are all by submission.
Oh, okay.
Obviously his 5th one now by KO TKO.
Yeah. And so, anyways, yeah, this is his first KO TKO, and so that was super impressive. It's kind of funny, and we bring this up a lot. Fight theory, you don't want to say this or that, but like Poirier can't finish Hooker, but Michael Chandler can. But Poirier can't finish Hooker, but he can finish McGregor. It's kind of weird. But it's all game plan and preparation, and he was talking about it after the fight. McGregor's wide stance, it's hard to check kicks with a wide stance. What a perfect game plan for Mike Brown. For those of you who don't know, what is he? 2-time WEC champ, fought in the UFC for a bit, American top team coach, and Excellent coach, much better coach. I mean, he was a great fighter, but much better coach than fighter. I mean, he's got names on. He's got a huge roster, right? He's got like 20 dudes on his team that are in the UFC. Like
so many champions of
Yeah.
other organizations.
Yeah.
Yeah, Horiguchi from over at Risen.
Yeah.
He trains out of there. It's ATT, right? South Florida.
Yeah. American Top Team. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And anyways, great game plan from Mike Brown, because it was his idea, for the leg kicks, and Dustin executed it perfectly. Because even Poirier was like, "Hey, Mike, why'd you want me to do the leg kicks in the press conference or whatever?" And Mike was like, "Oh yeah, it's from McGregor's, wide stance." And that's hats off to Poirier for not even knowing why he's executing this. Mike's just telling him leg kicks, leg kick, or calf kicks. Excuse me, it's got to be calf kicks. And Poirier, being the teachable fighter, coachable fighter that he is, he doesn't even know why. Doesn't even care. He's just executing, and that's a beautiful thing. As a fighter, I think that's one of the most important things you can do to be a fighter, is to be coachable and have faith in your coach.
Yeah. I always get real concerned when people are in the corner and the fighters are talking back to the coaches.
Yeah, that's
Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Why do you have a coach if you want to coach your coach?
Yeah.
But what did you think about McGregor in the first round? Obviously, you had him winning the first round.
I did.
You said that, but
Close
what
round.
What
Close
did you
round.
think about his stance? It was different,
Yeah. He had his hands up, first of all,
and he was in a lower stance.
Yeah. I don't know. It was weird. We were talking about that mid fight. I think I was too invested and kind of like to think about it much, but yeah, that I use that wide stance a lot. Not as wide as him, but I have a wide stance myself. So I like it for heavy punches, which McGregor only throws heavy punches. Anyways, the hands up. I knew something was different. Hands up is not something that McGregor usually ever does. He started dropping them as the fight went on a little bit. Started eating some heavy shots from Poirier, some medium shots. I wouldn't say heavy because McGregor has pretty heavy shots, and Poirier throws a lot of arm punches, and that's what he TKO'd him with was arm punches. I mean, I'm not saying they don't hurt, but he just throws from the shoulders instead of using his full body, which allows him to keep that pressure. And that's how you throw longer combos, is by throwing lighter punches, just from the chest or the shoulders. And that allows you to throw 10, 15 punch combinations like Poirier did and not get tired, versus McGregor's throwing one or two bombs at a time, never very many at once. Yeah, that's a little sidetracked there, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't think much about it until you said it, but I could definitely tell something was off about his stance.
His head and his chin were down. His hands were up, as you
Yeah.
said. He was lowered. He was still wide, but lowered. And he kept going off balance. When he tries to throw the peek out jab,
Yeah.
or the peek out overhand left, or the peek out straight left, where he turns it out over to his right side, and he kept getting off balance, and he did that a lot in the Diaz fight. He landed, but he'd get off balance or countered from
Diaz
that
too?
position. At both Diaz fights. And he peeks out and he throws those. It's almost when he gets tired. It looks sloppy. He looked sloppy. I thought he won the first round.
Yeah.
I thought he looked tight. I thought he just had a completely different style. So the generic question, I'm going to ask is what's next. But before we get to that, was there one thing that you picked out when you knew the fight turned before that TKO? Did you have any inclination of that was going to happen? And if so, what did you pick out?
I didn't expect the TKO. I did not. Conor's never been knocked out, TKO'd. He usually has a solid chin. I mean, he's usually eating fucking shots. I don't know. I mean, I can't even speak on the dead leg, really, that changed anything for me. Like, I could kind of tell he slowed down. I didn't even know it didn't seem like it was that bad to me. But I don't know. Nobody's ever calf kicked the fuck out of me like that many times.
You can tell it hurt him, but it almost didn't. You didn't see that being as problematic as it turned out to be,
Yeah, no,
especially
it was-
that early.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude, because it seemed like it was only like 5 calf kicked. I mean, that does it, Chito Vera and Sean O'Malley landed like 3, and Sean O'Malley was done. But No, man, there really wasn't any point. Like I said earlier, I knew after the first round that Dustin was gonna turn it on, because he's one of those dudes, like he's like Max Holloway. Like he gets better as the fight goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Especially late rounds. Like Colby Covington's another one. Those high octane fighters, those are so fun to watch because their pressure is there. Shout out Max Holloway and his 1,000 thrown attempts or whatever.
Yeah, we haven't been here since Holloway UFC on ABC 1 or Michael Chiesa looked good too.
Yeah, he did.
We'll have to do almost another episode just to break down those two fights.
Also, shout out Mason Jones real quick. Fight of the fucking night on a prelim.
Man.
And shout out Mike Davis as well.
How did Davis retain that speed and power late into those rounds?
He's just an athlete. You can tell by his body.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very athletic person, whereas Mason is a very high IQ fighter with a lot in his arsenal. Like we talked about him before, 3 different black belts. And God, did you see him at the end of the fight like throw 4 spinning back kicks? Pop, pop, pop. It was like watching somebody play UFC 4. It was insane. Anyways, we don't need to get into any fanboy about that, but shout out to those dudes.
That was a phenomenal fight.
Yeah, three round prelim fight looking like a 5-round champ fight. You know what I'm saying? Dudes are gonna be contenders.
Second or third fight on the prelims too?
Yeah, it was third.
Okay, so before we get off the Conor thing, shout out MJ, Mason Jones, baby. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I asked you what you would pull out that you knew Conor was fucked, basically. I pulled something out and it wasn't during the fight. I pulled it out after the fight, and I wanted to ask you about this because I don't have a kid, so I don't know. But
have you rewatched the fight?
I have not been able to go back and rewatch it.
Okay. All right, keep going.
I found this extremely concerning. After the fight was over, Conor McGregor was retreating to do the raise of the hand, and the first thing in his head, when he lost to Diaz, he looked up at the screen. He kind of shook his head. He was concerned. The first thing that Conor McGregor did as he was walking to Herb Dean to get Poirier's hand raised, he looks around the crowd, and he looks pretty hard, and finally he sees his kids. I assume they were ringside, and I think he looks at them, and he gives them a thumb up and a smile and lets them know, like, hey, I'm okay, guys, and that was his number one concern at that time.
Yeah, of course.
This is concerning to me because if you are the guy that you are trying to appear that you are, the guy who's coming back with a vengeance to go on a run, to be a champion, I just think if you're that competitor, I don't know this, your last concern at that specific moment is finding your kids to make sure you're okay. Maybe after your opponent's hand has been raised and they're about to give you the mic, maybe after, maybe on the way backstage, maybe it's the first thing you do backstage, but less than 30 seconds after you've been knocked out, and your first thought is, I want to make sure my kids know I'm okay. It's a beautiful thought. It's a beautiful thought, but that is concerning to me. It lets me know that his happiest point in his life is his family, and unless you have that same drive to go fight a guy who trains every single day and wants to fucking kill you and will die in that octagon.
And Poirier is a fucking dog.
A fucking dog. That concerned me a little bit.
Yeah. I can't speak on that per se. My daughter's not old enough, not as old as his oldest, but she's older than his youngest. So she's like right in between, and she's been at all my fights since she was a little tiny baby, putting headphones on her or whatever, earmuffs on her, so she, covering her ears. But I don't know. I just got TKO'd fucking like 4 months ago, whatever it was, and she was there. And yeah, after, I was like, let my family know I was cool, but
doesn't it take a minute to get out of fight mode though? Longer than 30 seconds?
I mean,
to
you watched
realize?
it, right? Remember when I lost to Isaac? You watched it, didn't you?
Yeah, I watched the fight.
Yeah. As soon as the ref, I was never hurt, but the ref pulled him off me because he was just landing some dangerous shots, and I was in a bad position. As soon as the fight was over, I got up and I was like, "Woo!" I still had that adrenaline, so definitely.
Right.
And I was screaming like, I was hyped. I was more hyped than the dude that just beat me, and that's just because I love to fight. I love that adrenaline, and that's just me. Maybe he doesn't have it in him anymore. And, he's had a year layoff. He's been hyping himself up.
I'm not saying he can't get active and beat good guys. I'm not saying he can't get active and beat the champion again.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's going to be even more difficult now because I think he has everything he wants. Third kid on the way. He's got millions of dollars in the bank. He never has to worry about money. He checked that box.
I will say my first thought, actually, my very first thought as soon as he lost, hang it up. You don't need this. You don't need to fight. And that was just because I was sad because my boy just lost. And I was happy for Poirier and happy for the sport and everything. But I was, my first thought, don't ruin your legacy. Just quit. You have $150 fucking million. And then you also have a multi-million-dollar whiskey company. What do you need to do this for? Get a job with the UFC. Be a commentator. You would be a badass commentator.
He has way more than $150 million.
His net worth is $150 million. I'm just saying.
Oh, you're right. It has to be more.
Oh, it's way more. But,
no, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but that was my first thought. Just quit. But then I thought about it after a couple minutes, and I was like, he's still a top competitor. He just lost. Every dog has his day. You know what I'm saying?
Every dog has its day.
But
who said that?
I don't know. Everybody.
I can't remember.
I also one last thing I want to point out about
Darren Till. Sorry. Every dog has its day.
Karen Till.
Karen Till.
Anyways, one last thing I want to say about the McGregor-Poirier fight. I think McGregor lost that fight before the fight started. You already knocked Poirier out. How did you do that? You got in his head. Who's this new McGregor? I get being like hats off to one of the GOATs and like very respectful to Cowboy Cerrone, but you never fought him before. This is a whole different fight. This is a rematch. You already knocked Poirier out by getting in his head. He got in his head. Poirier got too emotional and started fucking up, and what was it, like a minute and a half, he fucking TKO'd Poirier. I think he should have. I know he's trying to be like this humble, respectful Conor. That's not the Conor who like wins these fights. He wins by getting in people's head. Oh, I'm the baddest motherfucker on the planet, or whatever the fuck.
That's the worst impression I've ever heard.
Yeah, I'm not really fucking good at it, but you see what I'm saying though. Like he was so in his head at the weigh-in or at the face-off at the first fight. Poirier was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna shut your fucking mouth. I'm gonna shut your fucking mouth." Blah blah blah. I think he should have played that same thing, and I dig the respect between the two, but bro, if it's working, why are you changing it? The shit talking works for him.
Well, he's done that shtick, and that's over. It takes away, not from me personally, but me as a fan. I want to see him do that again. But I just think that shtick is over, and, I don't think it affected his performance, but I will say that the way he does beat guys, so maybe I'm contradicting what I'm saying, the way he does beat guys is making it even worse to lose because of the shit he's talked.
Yeah.
And it makes you fight a little harder and with a little more adrenaline. He looked a little weird walking to the cage.
Yeah.
He wasn't nervous per se, but he wasn't as fired up as he was.
I don't think it affects his performance. I think it affects the opponent. I think it would have
I see what you're
affected
saying.
Poirier, because Poirier in the first fight was so emotional that he looked like an idiot whenever they went out there, and then this fight he comes out and he looks clean. You know what I'm saying? So I think I love the respect thing. I'm a huge like respectful person. Pre-fight, post-fight, like I'm not a shit talker by any means, but I think if you're winning fights with that game plan, why are you changing it? And I get what you're saying, how it's over. It's been like 6 years and he's been doing that shit, and yeah, it's nice to see a respectful Conor, and I love that for the game, because I don't like shit talking any of my opponents before or after the fight. I just think that's where he could have won the fight before the fight.
The answer to your question is because he knew how dangerous this fight was. Through and through, that's the answer, and I don't think there's any changing my mind. I think he knew that losing this fight was an extreme possibility and a more likely improbable possibility. Did he think he could win? Yeah, but McGregor is so smart that he already knew he had one win against him. So no matter what happened in this fight, as long as he didn't get TKO'd or KO'd, which he fucking did, he had a third fight with this guy set up.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say on this? No. Yeah. I hope he's okay, and I hope he does continue to fight.
I do now. After, I had that 48 hours, like you said, that I was kind of like, fuck, retire. But now I'm like, yeah, no, you're still a competitor. You're still one of the top athletes in the world. Get back in there.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he just needs to take it more serious, more structured. And if he wants to have, he has such the ability to pay people to watch his kids. His wife doesn't have to work. He has a lot more resources to train professionally, even with his huge family. So hopefully he gets back out there. Quick, and then we'll be done on McGregor. The generic question, what's next for him? Rapid fire.
Bro. Fuck.
And I'll make it easy for you. You can go, what's going to be the hardest fight he gets next, and what's going to be the easiest?
Max Holloway would be the hardest fight he could get next.
Who's the easiest?
Tony. T-Ferg.
I like the Tony fight. I think it's an easy win for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Hard loss for Tony.
I don't want to see him fight Gaethje. I think Gaethje's leg kicks will mimic the Poirier plan. And
overhand left hook inside right leg. Mm-hmm. Oh, shit. And they're opposite stance, so Gaethje will fucking annihilate his leg. Granted, McGregor's a smart and a great fighter, so he might learn to check.
The opposite leg becomes available, though.
That's what I'm saying. The switch kick is there on the inside, like I was throwing in my last fight, or that outside Gaethje likes to throw that left hook and then that right leg kick. So instead of throwing it to the inside, it'll be the outside, which is exactly what Poirier just did. That right leg kick to the outside calf.
Right, because he's southpaw. Southpaw versus southpaw, the outside of the leg becomes available. If Gaethje's standing regular, he then has to switch stances to land the outside. But if he's regular and McGregor's southpaw.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was thinking about it backwards. But yeah.
So the outside leg kick wouldn't be there, but we know Gaethje has the ability to sneak into the pocket and land leg kicks from any fucking angle. His hips are incredible.
Yeah.
I don't like that fight one bit. I want to see Ferguson.
Apparently, McGregor's chin isn't the same, and Gaethje hits way harder than Poirier.
Yeah, we don't know that though. He, a lot of that could have been wobbled, and then the where he was semi-conscious could have been his head off the canvas.
Yeah,
his leg was unstable, so he got hit with the shot. He wasn't able to get his bearings.
He hit him with a right hook, and that's what dropped McGregor. Because he was flurrying on him, and then he threw a hard right hook, and that's when McGregor's head snapped back and he fell to the cage or fell to the floor, and then that's when Poirier got on top and started ground and pounding.
Right.
But because I remember in the fight where the commentator with me was like heavy hands because Poirier threw the same exact right hook, and I was like, hey.
Shout out Heavy Hands Podcast.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/Heavy Hands. Anyway, let's move the fuck on. I hope McGregor comes back. I hope he picks a slightly easier fight.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, this next guy, man, holy shit. Have you ever seen a UFC debut like this in your life? Michael Chandler KOs Dan Hooker, round 1, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Coming out of Bellator, lots of questions to be answered about this guy. He comes in off Bellator, and he's had some weird losses, and he's had some weird wins. And what I mean by that is he's had those he lost Eddie Alvarez. He also had that weird loss to Patricky. He also had a weird win, and what I mean by that is Benson Henderson. Who is Benson Henderson anymore? Also, his normal weight class over in Bellator was 170. So I guess what I'm trying... No, Henderson.
Oh, yeah, that's
Benson
weird.
Henderson. So
featherweight champ back in the day.
It's hard when someone comes in already to gauge their wins and losses. And this guy has incredible performances, and he is a killer. But when you look at his wins, they don't make sense. And when you look at his losses, they don't make sense. Like, one of his TKOs is his foot injury. It's pretty gruesome. I know you've seen that where his ankle is bent over. And so I didn't know what to make of this guy. I knew he is built like a fucking brick shit house.
But he's 5'8", so.
Yeah, but he looks good. He trains every day. His Instagram tells the part. And I was so excited to see this fight. And when people come into the UFC, there's a little bit extra sprinkle of that magic. A little bit extra sprinkle of the magic. So I picked him to win this fight. I didn't know how he was going to get it done. Yeah, I had him decision.
Wow.
And he comes out and looks like that. I don't even know what to say other than Dan Hooker started way slower than normal.
So
he was almost giving way too much respect to the striking.
Yeah.
of Chandler.
I don't. It might have been the takedown. He might have been worried about the takedown. So I want to get into that for sure. I'm glad that we're bringing this up. Obviously, we got to 257 co-main, but
Can we get some coffee?
please, if you're doing that, I can take a refill.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Are we gonna keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, wow, it's nice to have him here. Thank you, Jack. Shout out, Jack, everybody. Our,
unknown last name. Unknown.
Yeah, unknown. There he is, the man.
Thank you, sir.
I picked Hooker.
If you want, you can set it there. Unless you want some more.
I picked Hooker to win. Just because of his striking, I thought that Izzy's being in Izzy's camp. You know, I keep having faith in Hooker to get the job done because I love Hooker. Hooker's such a Hooker is such a great guy. Like, he's just a nice guy, tough as nails. You know, he's got some tough losses. His record was 29 going into this. And you know, that sucks. That's a shitty record. But like Cormier Paul Felder said on the fight thing, that you see a lot of championship caliber or some of the best fighters ever have, you know, double-digit losses, and that's very true. But anyways, I picked Hooker to win just because of his striking. He's 4 inches taller, and he's tough as nails. We've seen him in the UFC. We hadn't seen Chandler, been tested against UFC caliber per se, or at least current UFC caliber. He's fought post-UFC guys, but so that's why I picked Hooker. I didn't cheer for either or. I just was cheering for a good fight because I like Hooker a lot. I don't necessarily like Chandler, but he's from Missouri, which is where I'm from, so I'm always going to root on, you know, the American for one. Just
Where did he say at? Some weird place I've never fucking heard of.
It's like by Columbia.
Yeah.
And then he also wrestled at Mizzou. So, you know, I'm always going to cheer on, just being the patriot that I am, I will cheer on the American guy over somebody else usually. And then also somebody from Missouri. So that's even closer, you know, that's a couple hours away from here. So I was cheering for a good fight. And so, you know, they walk out, and I thought it was going to be a good fight. But like you said, he started slow. I think Hooker, as soon as he came out, Chandler threw that hard one overhand, that jab overhand, and that overhand fucking whistled through the air. And I think Hooker, he blocked it, and he felt that power, and I think he was like, oh shit. So then he was, you know, backing up. He wasn't even jabbing. I think he was a little intimidated. The takedown itself, I'm sure he was already worried about, trying to create space. But then once he felt that the power and the speed and you know, the explosiveness of Chandler live, I think that he had a brain fart. I think he was just blacking out, kind of like instead of fighting, he was thinking about the flight mode of his brain. You know, subconsciously he was like, uh-oh, what can I do? And I think he just had a brain fart. And also gun shy from the Poirier fight. You know, he took a lot of damage.
Well, and Poirier kind of lulls you into a fight where, you know, he throws what you like to call arm punches.
Yeah.
And Chandler's not throwing arm punches.
No, he was throwing.
He was gonna throw heat. He was
Heavy
throwing heavy
hands,
hands,
baby.
He was throwing some fucking leather.
Yeah.
And I think when those guys kind of get into those scraps where they can coast and they know they can rely on their chin because they're not having guys throw 100% at them.
Yeah.
They know eventually they're going to tire a little bit, and I'm still going to be here. And after a minute, 2 minutes, Chandler kept pressing, and he kept opening up, almost like a math equation. He kept opening shit up. Like, he'd throw the jab, overhand, and then he would throw a feint, and then a good level change. And then what shot ended up finishing him? It was a level change coming up to a
Overhand right
with a multiple hook sequence against the cage.
Mean overhand right. That hit Hooker's face so hard. It smacked. And you know, there was 1,600 people there, 1,800 people there, and you heard it smack. And I was like,
that crowd was loud. There was supposed to be 2,200 people, but I heard a report that there might have been 7,500 in that building.
No way.
I mean, I don't know.
I looked it up, and it was like 1,600. That's what it said online. But
yeah,
but there's no way. I think the arena only holds 7,500 or something like that. It's not very big.
How much does Etihad Arena hold? ETIHAD?
Pull it up, Jack.
Jack. It's crazy. Your name's Jack. It's close to who we'd like to have in here. Shout out Jamie Vernon. Yeah, man. I don't know what else to say about this because I need to go back and watch it. And again, I don't buy people's first performances.
55,000.
The Etihad Arena holds 55,000.
Wow.
This dude over here said it holds like 12 people.
Dude, when you're watching, I was looking up in the stands and it like stopped and I was like,
no, that place is fucking huge.
Really?
Dude.
Okay.
And I think it replaced the pop-up arena that they used to do.
Yeah.
You remember the one they did for Habib Poirier?
Yeah. They're not using. This is like the real deal one.
That place didn't even have air conditioning.
Wow.
Do you remember? Yeah, it was crazy.
That.
It was a huge factor. And Anderson Silva actually fought in Abu Dhabi years ago. I'd have to look up to see who he fought, but it's not important. He remembered talking about the air conditioning. And so they interviewed him right before the Poirier-Habib fight. And they were talking about how big of a factor. Because by the second fight, the entire cage was wet.
Yeah. Air conditioning is a fucking huge deal,
right.
Bro.
Or just some type of HVAC,
yeah.
you know?
I mean, when I used to box, a lot of fights were in the summertime, you know, and even outside, like fighting outside.
Oh, did you do some of those outside smokers?
Yeah, dude. And so, but my boxing coach, super smart, devised this idea. Let me put a big ass fucking industrial heater in the gym. So it's 100 degrees in the gym at all times. So and then he fucking unplugged the water fountain. So all practice for 3 hours, you don't get water. So, I mean, you're in this 100-degree building in the basement of the West Bottoms in Kansas City. Authentic Boxing. Shout out Authentic.
Getting concussed daily.
Yeah, getting concussed. No water. Nothing but heat. And, dude, I mean, it gets you ready. Because then you're not thinking about water in the fight. If you, like, there's no such thing as being hot. Because when you're training your hardest, you know, at 100 degrees, if you're fighting in 70 fucking degrees, it's like, okay, you know. And so then at that point in my life, there was no such thing as being tired. I was a fucking animal when I was like 16, 17. But anyways, yeah, I think that's a huge factor, having AC or not having AC. Having people being able to smoke or not smoke in the arena is a huge thing.
Which you can't do that anymore, can you?
No, but like back in the day, fighting at whiskey tangos,
oh,
you know, everybody's
man.
smoking cigarettes. Oh my god, it was horrible. I felt like I had cancer before I even got to the fucking cage, dude.
This station I work at now, the guy, I don't want to mention him, but there's a guy who just chain smokes 24/7, and it happens to be right in front of where the fucking elliptical machine is. And I feel like I'm just training myself for fucking whiskey tangos when they come back.
Yeah,
just...
when they come back.
Nice. Dude, that's crazy. Okay, we got to get going here. But
one more thing. As soon as the fight started, I knew Hooker was going to lose. As soon as Chandler came out, you could tell he was about it. And you could tell Hooker wasn't. And I was
they call him Mystic Vaughn because he predicts these things.
After. All right. Anyways, let's get it.
Well, just one more thing on this. So Chandler, he said he only wanted to fight Gaethje, Ferguson for the belt, Conor or bust, and now he stepped down and fought Hooker. He has to get a title fight next, right?
Fuck no.
Poirier said, I'm not fighting that guy for the title. He doesn't deserve it. And I agree. But what they're going to fucking pay Poirier an assload of money to either rematch Conor for the belt or fight Chandler and put Chandler against Oliveira.
Or Diaz. Diaz was talking mad shit. That's a money fight for
Chandler's
Poirier.
Not going to fight Diaz.
Oh, Chandler?
Yes,
I thought we were talking about Poirier. My bad.
No.
Chandler. What's next for Chandler? I'd like to see Charlie Olive.
So do you think he can get the title fight next? Chandler, no?
No. He doesn't deserve it. Your UFC, I get you're a superstar in Bellator. You come in and, yes, Dan Hooker was a top contender 2 fights ago. He was ranked 4, lost to Poirier, got dropped to 9th. You beat the number 9. Just because you beat number 9 doesn't mean you get shoved up to number 1. What about Gaethje? Did you say Gaethje?
That's when he came into the UFC. He said it's Gaethje, Ferguson, but Ferguson had not lost yet.
Yeah.
Or Conor, or any fight for the title, or bust.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
I'm just saying. The other day, after the fight, he was like, "Fucking Dustin, Conor, Khabib, calling everybody out. What if he fights Gaethje? Gaethje, I think that's a good fight. Gaethje's coming off a loss for the belt, right? He's still.
I'd like to see him one more.
He's won.
Yeah.
Give him one more and
Before
then
the
Gaethje. Okay. I don't want him. No, I think Poirier deserves the belt. Poirier versus Gaethje for the belt, Gaethje just lost. As much as I love Gaethje, he is coming off of a loss. I get that Khabib, like, he lost and then Khabib retired, but he is coming off a loss. Charles Oliveira is, sorry, Dan Hooker said it, and I'm like,
shit was too funny too.
Yeah, he's a Charlie Olive.
Charlie Olive.
But anyways, Charles Oliveira is on a 4-fight win streak. Serious competitor, and he gets slept on. Like, he's ranked 4th or something like that, and like nobody brings him up ever. But so I think Poirier fights Charles Oliveira for the belt, and I think Gaethje fights Chandler. Or what were they talking about the other day? A Grand Prix tournament. What do you think about a Grand Prix tournament at the 155 division? Top 8 guys, top 6 guys?
Let me just stop you. I agree with that. We've already started the Grand Prix, the unofficial Grand Prix. Listen to this win streak. Let me just correct you here. Charles Oliveira, Clay Guida, Christos Giagos, Jim Miller, David Tamer, Nick Lentz, Jared Gordon, Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson. Okay, that is 8 straight wins. He is due for the next title shot. I don't give a fuck what you do. If you do Dustin Poirier in any title fight, it better be against Charles Oliveira.
Yeah.
If there is any title fight going on at 155, it better have Charles Oliveira in it. If it doesn't,
he deserves it just because you won 8 in a row, but he fought trash cans for the first, 6? And then Kevin Lee.
Look at those names.
Clay Guida?
Okay, that was 8 fights ago. That's
what I'm saying.
His run.
The first 5 are, they're better than me. I hate being the guy that's like, professional athletes, that dude sucks. But
look what Gaethje did to get a title fight. He almost got KO'd by 8 different people, and then he did get knocked out by fucking Poirier.
And who's the other one that knocked him out?
Eddie Alvarez?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, I'm not saying I think he does deserve the title shot. I'm just saying that the first couple guys, I was like,
I hope I'm not wrong on that. Did Eddie knock out?
I'm pretty sure it was Eddie.
We'll fact check that later.
But anyways, I agree. I think either way, 8 fights in a row is fucking serious money. Like, and that's what I'm saying. He's overlooked by the UFC, by fans, by fucking casuals.
If Khabib was still the champion, I would be more inclined to get on your side and say that he doesn't have to have a title fight next. But Khabib's given it up. You now need the next 2 contenders. That's Poirier and Oliveira. The only fucking loose cannon in that is Chandler. I don't know what they're going to do with him, but
he doesn't deserve it.
No, but I'm just saying that's the only loose cannon. They might not. They might not give it to Oliveira just because they might make Poirier Chandler. But I want to see Oliveira in the next title fight. I don't give a fuck.
Poirier Chandler, that's a good fight.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked since we were talking about Brittany Lynn earlier, Brittany Lynn Matthews, soon to be Mahomes one day. I really liked.
Shout out Fit by Britt.
Stop. I really liked Dustin's wife after the fight. You know, she got up and
she was cool.
They were pointing at each other, and she was like, "That's why you will." Yeah, she was bad, bro. And their daughter's so cute,
thick in a good way, thick as a Snickers.
Yeah, but she was like, "That you will never doubt my husband again." Something talking shit to somebody.
For sure, settle down. 5 losses, but settle down. Yeah. But I like it, and I like you being there cage side pointing at it. I'm sure that was a great moment for you and your family.
Yeah, it was, and
get
I
the
really
fuck
appreciate
off my
it.
boy McGregor.
Yeah. That's why he made $20 million. Dustin made like 3.
1.
But, I mean,
reported. Yeah. Isn't that horrific?
Yeah, but they only reported McGregor getting 5. But the pay-per-view bonuses, so Poirier gets some of that too, right?
Those reported numbers are such bullshit anyway. It just kind of lets you know where people are at with other people.
Okay.
You know, when they say you're making $500,000, you're making $2 million. They just don't want to have to fucking tax you and then pay someone else $2 million if they don't want to.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying he probably made like 3. And he got the fight of the night, or knockout of the night, which was like $50,000, but chump change.
Chump change.
All right, next topic.
Okay. Yeah, we're running super low on time. We got a lot to cover. I would like to shout out 5 fights real quick, and if you have something to say rapid fire, we'll hit on them. But there'll be many more episodes to come, and we'll break these down in depth, and then we'll get to some fan questions. So here are some announcements that either came recently or within. Some of them were actually today. 2 of them were. So Burns versus Usman, February 13th. I'm not addressing the 3 title fight card because we talked about that before.
Yeah.
That's going to happen in March. We know Ngannou versus Stipe. That's a little bit old news as well. We'll continue to break those down in the future. But Burns versus Usman, February 13th. First thoughts. We have it on record. Go.
Usman.
By way of.
TKO. Round 3.
I got Usman decision.
Decision's a good call, but I think ground and pounding.
I think he'll be using at least 30% Usman as well. Tyrone Woodley, Vicente Luque, March 27th.
Fucking Luque decision.
Luque is going to murder.
Yeah.
I got TKO
Really?
first,
Yeah.
early second.
Yeah,
Should be a 5-round fight, too, because that's going to be a main event, I
mean,
believe. Oh, no, that'll be on the Ngannou card if it's...
Tyron's just old, bro. He's another one that needs to hang it up. I mean, he's a hell of an athlete.
Have you
But
seen
he's old, bro.
Cutthroat City? You got to see this movie on Netflix. Tyrone Woodley
Oh my
is a
God.
gangster, and he has to put his dick in a cage with a low on sleep. What are the animals that? Oh, raccoon. Jesus, man! I told you I'm 1/10 the brains of this podcast. He puts his
Jack's the
dick.
other 9.
He puts his dick in a raccoon cage, and this raccoon eats Tyron Woodley's dick off. So if you haven't seen Cutthroat City, you got to watch it. It's on
Well,
Netflix.
I will now.
Yeah, please do. It's a great movie.
You actually do plug me on all the good Netflix movies. What was that? 999? That shit was
Heat McGee.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was like a knockoff Den of Thieves.
Yeah, Den of Thieves is a good movie
Yeah.
too.
Anyways.
Paul Acosta, Robert Whitaker. That is April 17th.
Whitaker decision.
I think Paul Acosta battles back against the first adversity he saw,
Maybe.
and I think he
Either way,
gets,
I think either way the decision. I don't think either one was knocking each other out.
I think he's gonna KO Whitaker.
Stop that popcorn muscle. He did. We already talked about this, bro. He doesn't KO anybody. He TKOs people. He ain't TKO.
When I knock people out, they don't fucking move. Who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah. Either way. It could go either way, but I don't think there's a KO. I think that's gonna be a banger.
Okay.
Of course, I always think that, and then it's fucking first round TKOs or second round.
This one has a little bit of casual in it, but really it's for the hardcore. Marvin Vettori, Darren Till. That's also going to be April 10th.
Karen Till, baby. That's my boy.
I got Darren Till too by a boring decision.
Yep.
By a boring
I
decision.
mean, he's a counterpuncher. I mean,
yeah. He's a
always,
point fighter.
Yeah. I love he's so fucking funny. I love that dude. But,
He's so big at 85. I can't believe he fought
dude,
at
he's
70.
a monster.
He can barely make 85.
God.
Okay, and then the last fight announcement. This is a big one, ladies and gentlemen. This is a fucking fight for the ages. We got a 10-round exhibition boxing match, 10-ounce gloves. Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. Gross. Fuck you for making this fight, Triller.
Hey,
Fuck you.
Jake Paul. Fuck the Browns. That's why we shit on you guys the other day.
Big facts.
He was actually at Abby's work the other day, and I didn't believe her.
If you buy that, you're basically me, and I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So, fuck that. All right, let's finish up these fan questions, and then we'll get the fuck out of here. I got to pick up the girlfriend before we get murdered.
Yeah, Dante from Grand Rapids, Michigan asks, what's the biggest bulge in UFC?
Bulge?
The biggest bulge? I already know, but go for it.
Alistair.
Alistair Overeem. I imagine his cock is...
Or Ngannou.
Is that thing about steroids true?
It's your nuts, not your dick.
Oh, is it your nuts? Okay. The best one ever was when McGregor put that banana in his pants before the Mayweather fight.
Yeah.
Dude. And people were like, look at this guy's fucking cock. But you know who has the biggest fucking bulge?
Who?
Is my boy Ralph. Shout out Caveman Crew. He sent
Ralph,
that picture of him hitting mitts.
Ralph has the hugest dick.
That guy has a cock piece on him.
Oh, man.
A cock piece.
Hey, shout out Ralph Fernandez. He's fighting March 5th at FAC at the Cable Dahmer Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. He's coming off a tough loss, but he's facing a up-and-coming amateur prospect. He's 6-0, I believe. Muhammad Zwalnek. It's going to be a banger. They're both grapplers. But I think there's gonna be some fireworks in this fight. I think they're gonna come out throwing hands. I think Muhammad is Ralph has a couple tough losses. Great fighter. He's much better than me. Best fighter in the gym for sure. But he just he got choked out one time. Just he was going for a double leg or a single leg or something like that. Got caught in a guillotine. Is what it is. That's why he's an amateur. He's learning. But
Ralph Hernandez is the Aaron Pico of this Kansas City metro area. He has every single skill to pay the bill.
Yeah.
And he just needs to get it all dialed in. He's fucking phenomenal. He is the best fighter I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. But when it comes time to, when the lights come on, it's I think there's just a problem there. Like you said, he just needs to tie it all together. There's probably some nerves, maybe some more experience for him to get those nerves right. But, yeah, he's a hell of an athlete, one of the best athletes I've ever seen in any sport.
And I think he's going to dust off his amateur losses. He's going to dust them off, and I cannot wait to see what this kid's future looks like.
Yeah.
Shout out Ralph.
Shout out Ralph. Shout out Caveman.
Hell yes, and shout out to his dick. Next question.
Huge. Easy fucking 10 inches.
Tina in Palm Springs wants to know, shout out to a role model who doesn't know they're a role model.
Okay.
You can go first on this one.
Okay. Role models for me is, god damn, I don't know how to say this without getting killed later, or at least in a giant argument. Any girl at the gym who's working harder than me.
That's every girl. What do you mean?
Shout out to those people. Yeah, you're the man that trains, and I'm the one that complains about pains. That was a lot funnier in my head.
Role model for me. God, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to not be corny and not be weird. I'm not going to pick somebody specifically. I don't know, maybe my boss, Abby's uncle-in-law thing. Just because he has a life that I'm working for and maybe more. Or even my sister and her husband. Those are good people. Not necessarily like my boss is a good role model because I work with him. He sets a good example and he's always there to help me out. But in terms of where I want to be in life is what I would consider a role model. Maybe that's hitting the nail on the head. But people who are successful to take care of their families, and as much as people say money doesn't matter, but they're successful. They're maybe not, Bill Gates, but they are well off, have good money coming in. And I've never been on vacation. Never. I've never went on a...
You just talked on this podcast about how you took gas station dick pills and went to St. Louis with your girlfriend.
Yeah, but I've never been out at
That's a vacation.
A family vacation, people who go to Florida or Hawaii. I've never got to do that, and I want to be able to do that for my family one day. So those people who, granted, I lived in Hawaii for 4 years. Anyways,
this guy is fucking. You are a liar, and you're getting exposed right now on the Heavy Hands.
Ask Abby. I cheat on her every day, according to her.
According to her.
Oh my God, classic Abby. At 4:30 in the morning, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the gym at 5:30." She was like, "That's fucking sketchy." I was like, "What? Why? I'm going to the gym. That's fucking sketchy." Classic Abby. Anyways, keep going. Next question.
Bruce from Cheyenne, Wyoming wants to know, what's your favorite workout playlist or song right now?
If I Had a Heart by Fever Ray. For those of you that don't know, it's the intro theme song to Vikings.
I've been playing a lot of the hardcore band Bane. They're fucking great. We'll take one more.
Trent from Oregon wants to know, what did you want to be when you were little? Where did you want to see yourself in 5 years? Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years?
Go ahead.
It's a double parter.
I let off with the last one.
I wanted to be I wanted to play in a band, and I wanted to be a professional roadie. I wanted to travel around and do sound.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Sitting on this fucking couch.
Right here on the Heavy Hands casting couch.
Yes, sir.
Fuck yes. With my boy.
When I was a kid, I remember, this is going to get kind of deep. into the passion of why I still train and fight, even though I suck. When I was a kid, I remember, like, you know, you grow up and all, like, kids want to be, like, professional athletes. Like, everybody wants to play football, everybody wants to play basketball, whatever, be fighters. Because I started boxing when I was pretty young, so, like, I wanted to be a professional fighter. So that's what I wanted to do. Like, growing up, I played football, and I was all right. I wasn't, like, the bee's knees, but I wanted to play in the NFL. And then I, like, started boxing, and I wanted to be a professional boxer. And I, like, all my friends, like, you know, they were going to be in the NBA or the NFL or whatever. And then we grow up. As we get older, shit, you know, life hits. And we all start, like, they start realizing, you know, oh, fuck. Like, or they just give up, in my opinion. Like, stuff like that. And I know life happens and not everybody's going to play in the NBA or NFL. But, like, I remember in high school, post-high school, now, people just giving up on their dreams. So, like, that really hit me. And so, like, I wanted to be a professional fighter or a professional athlete. And I wanted to make a lot of money and get endorsements and, you know, fast cars and all that, big houses, because I didn't have that when I was a kid. You know, it is what it is. But I just think that that's what I wanted to do. And I specifically watched everybody that I know let go of their dreams. And so I always swore that I wouldn't do that, which is why I still train hard, still fight. It's not like I'm that, you know, that old. I'm just saying that at this age, that's why I haven't, like, given up and decided, oh, I'm going to get a business degree, even though I am in college. But in 5 years, boy, hopefully I'm fucking signed to Bellator for 15-15, or else I'm really fucked.
Oh God, 15-15 to fight the guy who picks up my recycling every Monday.
And I still get knocked out.
Not a bad career. Not a bad career. Well, that's it. We had to rush this one. We have so much shit to talk about. We're going to review UFC on ABC 1 as well as UFC Fight Island 8 very soon. We're going to get back in here. We're both cleared COVID negative. I was never positive. You were both HIV and novel coronavirus positive. I was fortunate
Abby
to evade both
tells me she
of
has
those.
HIV every other day.
That's disgusting.
Classic Abby. And I'm like, where'd you even get this? But
please give this video a like, share, subscribe, youtube.com/heavyhandspodcast, Instagram heavyhandspodcast, Facebook heavyhandspodcast, Twitter is heavyhandskc. I like the fans question segment. If you don't want to be Tina from Sweet Springs, let us know that it's okay to use your name on the podcast, first or last, or both. You can send those questions or inquiries to heavyhandspodcast@gmail.com. You can DM them to us on Instagram or Facebook. They just might get caught up because we have so much fan mail. That's a joke. But yeah, please give us questions here and there, and we'll answer them on the podcast soon to be. For everybody here, I am Noah Hellhake, Hunter the Shark Vaughn. We'll see you next time.
all right, guys.
Peace
Later.
out.